Hi folks, we're here at Old Arizona, located on the White Stallion Ranch here in Tucson. We've got with us Mark Sankey, who has a high-level position with Mescal Film Studio in Mescal. We're here to talk about Senate Bill 1708, the film industry in Arizona in general, and specifically here in Tucson, and the history of filmmaking that has occurred here, particularly at Mescal. So, Mark, thank you very much for coming. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it. And we could start, though. Tell us how you became involved in the film industry in the beginning. You've been here a long time and have done a great job with it.
Well, I haven't been in the film industry for a long time, though.
Okay.
I sold a business, retired, wanted to do something fun, so I went out to Old Tucson and basically worked in their guest services department. And when that closed down, my boss at Old Tucson was friends with the Karchners, who bought the Mescal Movie Set. And so I headed on down there and volunteered down there. And my background has been publishing, but more into book publishing and such. Not so much film, but there was a close connection between that, and just sort of fell into this position down there.
Okay, great. Well, tell us about Mescal Film Studios then. It's you kind of getting going there and taking off like gangbusters, it sounds like, and it's beautiful what you've done there.
Well, sometimes it doesn't feel like gangbusters. Sometimes feels like we take 2 steps back and 1 step ahead. But we are making
that's normal.
Yeah, we are making progress. You know, the history of the set, it has a pedigree. It was owned by Old Tucson, and they've been filming on that location since the 50s. Buildings were built in the late 60s, and there's been a number of popular westerns filmed there and such. And once they lost the tax incentive, and Old Tucson caught on fire, lost a lot of the incentive to film there. So in the last 20 years, it's been somewhat rugged, but now there's new owners. The owners are committed to Western history, Western culture, and they feel the best way to move that forward is by promoting Western films. So we're going to rebuild it up as a movie set. We will be open for other venues and such, but not so much as an amusement park, but maintain it as a film set.
And it is open for tours now. When is it available for tours?
Tours are open on Fridays and Saturdays. The tours run on the hour. So the first one's at 9, and it's getting warm enough now. They're going to cut that back to the last tour at 1 o'clock. So basically there's five tours a day, and the tours last about an hour, and we walk through the set and talk about all the old movies and actors and famous scenes that were filmed there.
Sure. Not just available for filming, you've got special events. If somebody wanted to use the venue for a wedding or a corporate party, you're available for all that too, right?
Oh, absolutely, because we never know when the next film is going to come in, and it's hard to budget that way. So we have to set up other events to get some cash flow in. We still have about 28 buildings to fix up and some more to build. So we've got the historical tours, we've had car shows, we've had weddings, we've had concerts. It's getting hot. We're looking at maybe doing some things with astronomy clubs and some photo shoots at sunsets and such. So we got to find creative ways to bring in a steady stream of revenue, because all that money is going into rebuilding the set. We're all volunteers down there. And so, but at the same time, we're only scheduling out about 60 days. Because if we have an opportunity to have a film, that's our priority.
Oh, there you go.
We want to be able to get the film in and not say, well, we're sorry we can't do your film because, you know, we've got a car show that weekend.
Right, yeah. So. What are some of the films that you can tell the audience here that were filmed there at Mescal?
Well, the first one that comes to mind, and probably one of the most popular, was Tombstone. And right after that, they filmed The Quick and the Dead with Sharon Stone and Gene Hackman and such. But it really goes back to the land itself was used for film. Winchester 73 with Jimmy Stewart, Big Country with Gregory Peck, Cimarron with Glenn Ford. But then in the late 60s, they started building the buildings. And Lee Marvin and Jack Palance filmed Monty Walsh. You even had Frank Sinatra out with Dirty Dingus McGee. Clint Eastwood with Outlaw Josie Wales, Steve McQueen with Tom Horn. You had some TV episodes filmed there, some of the old Bonanzas and such. The Young Riders, which ran for 3 years, was all filmed there.
It's a lot of history.
A lot of history.
So when that was going on in that time frame, as far as I can recall or know, there were no film tax credits available. There was really no such thing as film tax credits, were there? Or where did that come?
I don't think that existed back there.
Yeah, but they
back
were
in that day. From what I understand, and I may have heard this wrong, it really started with Canada. Wanted to compete
to lure everybody out of LA.
Lure everybody out of LA and go up into Canada. And once Canada was successful at it, then other states started following suit, including Arizona, who had a tax bill for a time period, but then dropped it. So now we're at a point where 40-some states have tax incentives, and Arizona doesn't, and they're flying over us and driving through us to go to New Mexico, Texas, and other states.
Right.
And they're spending their money there.
Right, yes. As far as the tax credits go, my understanding is that the film producers and the production companies, they can go film wherever they want to go film at, and they only apparently go to where the film tax credits are available, regardless of what the scenery is in the background, because they can somehow adapt that in other locations. But that tax credit is the lure, correct?
Absolutely, that's the lure that brings them in. We have reached out to major production companies and such, and because we're in Arizona, we can't even get in the door. There's no door open for us. They can go to New Mexico, a couple hundred miles away, and get their big tax incentive there.
Okay. And you have been doing some filming at Mescal. I hear you did something a couple weeks ago or something.
We had the INSP network come in, and they filmed a movie that'll go direct to cable, satellite, whatever you want to say. It was called The Warrant Breaker's Law. It was a nice film. They were on set for 17 days. They also filmed down at Triangle T Ranch for a couple of days. And there were some recognizable actors in there. And it was a lot of fun. It was a great production, nice people. It was funny, the whole time we were there, we didn't hear one voice raised, one cross word.
Yeah.
They worked pretty seamlessly.
That's fantastic. What have you had any of the film or from the film school and the students from the universities, have any of those been out to do anything at your facility?
Not yet at this time. No, we would like to get more involved with the schools and such. We've made some general inquiries in there, but we've not had any success with putting anything together yet.
Well, one of the things too is that I understand that the film schools here in Arizona at the university level are very comprehensive, and they do a terrific job with it. So then the students, they graduate and they want to stay in Arizona, but we're back to not being able to stay here because the industry is outside the state. Well, I understand that the Senate Bill 1708 is a bipartisan effort. It's not political particularly. I know that there's people on both sides that have, I think, misconceptions on how a film tax credit works. Everything from that the taxpayers are underwriting it, it's coming from the taxpayer coffers, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Can you expound on that a little?
Well, it's an investment in our future. It's an investment in bringing more dollars into the state that can be used for schools, for roads, and a lot of other areas. It's not here just to benefit the film industry. When these companies come in, for an example, if they rent our set to film, we have a set fee per day and that type of thing. That's not a major expense for them. They're going to come in and they're going to spend money on more money than what they spend on the set. They're going to spend for rental cars and trailers, for food, for lodging, for construction materials at Home Depot or Lowe's or one of those stores and such. So it does bring a lot of money in. And not just to the film industry, let alone all the jobs it's going to be creating for people that are involved in the film industry.
There is still quite a lot of folks in Arizona that have been part of the film industry and have had to not necessarily relocate their families. In some cases, yes, but where they are now having and have had to go work out of state to be away from their families to follow the industry.
Well, yeah, they have to, in order to qualify for that tax incentive in New Mexico, they have to be New Mexico residents. So there's a lot of local people that have rented apartments or bought small condos in New Mexico, transferred over that, but still consider Arizona their home base.
Yeah, boy, that's tough. The way that I have also understood the misconception of full-time jobs where the people that are in the industry and they're on a set or they're on a production, the production may run 8 weeks, and then they have downtime before the next production occurs. That's not the only production they have all year, but they're unfortunately considered part-time employees, so it doesn't show up on the books in the state level that they are considered part-time employees. But turning a whole thing around, it is a full-time job, but they're categorized as non-full-time employees. I think that is a misconception, and I wish that could be explained a little better.
Well, is it any different than an iron worker who might work on a job or a project for 3 months? That project's over. Maybe that iron worker may not have a job for a week or two, but then move on to the next project.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with construction. It can be with film production, car sales.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people don't come in one after another to buy a car.
Mm-hmm.
You make a sale, and then you got a time period before you sell another car.
Right.
So that's just the nature of business.
Mm-hmm.
And to categorize that as part-time jobs, is one thing, but to use that as an excuse not to have a tax incentive,
that's right,
is not a very strong argument.
It's not valid at all. It's something that chirps out there, and I wish that could get squelched, but it's always something that I hear kind of in the background, and it's not true.
Well, the other thing that this bill is built to create infrastructure in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And as you read the bill, they want all the production to be done here in the state.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the caveat on this. So that means that companies will come in and build sound studios, that will build production offices and film sets and that type of thing, so they can abide by that incentive. So the bill is written to counteract that argument.
Mm-hmm.
It will create those types. Once you start building infrastructure, those are full-time jobs.
Right. Yep, in that capacity, absolutely. And once one of them gets built, then there's going to be another one that comes in right behind it. I've seen the sound stages in Albuquerque, and it looks like Burbank.
Yeah.
By the airport there. It's absolutely phenomenal. So I personally feel very confident that the Senate Bill 1708 is going to be approved. There's still a lot of work to get to that point. I think that, which is one of the reasons that we're doing this here, is to be able to get this information out to more people so they understand it and then support it when they're talking to their neighbors, or they can get a hold of their senator or their representative and tell them that they support this for all the reasons that we're talking about here. One of the last speakers that we had talked about how convenient it was for productions when they're doing particularly a Western, and specifically at Mescal, to where there were a lot of people that were brought in as extras, and they already had all their costumes, they already had their horses, the tack, and it was welcome to them. They felt, boy, you guys got it together here.
There are a lot of people in this area that have film experience,
Mm-hmm.
that have been in films, that are proactive in reenactments, or as docents down in Tombstone or Mescal and other areas, that are dressed the part and are very good at dressing that part.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of horses here. It was one reason they came here a long time ago. A lot of the extras and stuntmen were actually ranch hands that they hired to get in the movies,
Mm-hmm.
and they made careers out of that.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that element is still here.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. Well, we know Arizona kind of was one of the starting points in 1939 with Gene Arthur and forgot
William Holden.
William Holden, yeah, I forgot his name for a second. What a fantastic film! And they had the debut at the Fox Theater, and people were lined up, and all the people that employed here for that. Building the adobe, which was still remnants over here at Old Tucson because of that. It's just incredible how that really got everything going for the state, and it's kind of a shame that there hasn't been more attention from the political side to push these tax film credits earlier. I think we're going to probably be able to make up for a lot of lost time, but it's kind of unfortunate that a lot of people have just been standing by looking, and it's not happening, and now it looks like it's going to.
Well, we sort of missed the boat for the last few years, but the film industry is growing.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, you make a film that went to the theaters, and that was about it. But in the past 5 years, there's 3 to 4 more times the films being made nowadays, because there's so many more venues that they can be shown on. Mm-hmm. All the different stations now that we have on the networks and that type of thing, they don't necessarily go direct to to theaters anymore. So there's still enough film being made that there's still a great opportunity to build a strong industry here in Arizona.
Right. Yes.
Had an incentive, and we haven't put one together, also leaves a bad taste in the film industry's mouth, in that why should we support Arizona if they're not supporting us? Why not go to New Mexico or another state?
Right. Yes. Well, hopefully that's going to change pretty quickly. The amount of scrutiny that goes into the process of the tax credits for any state, it's pretty it's significant. It's not where it's just a revolving door and it's easy to get. You have to qualify ahead of time. It goes into a vetting process, and then after the fact, before the funds are sent out, it goes back through all that again to make sure that they qualify. So it's not an easy process for the film production companies to get through, but they're willing to do that. They have people that do that so they can focus on the filmmaking, but it's not as simple as people realize.
Well, they've got to hire somebody that really knows that. It's like a sports team. There's people that specialize in handling salaries and their budgets and the royalty taxes and that type of thing. Same thing with the movie industry. You've got accountants that know that stuff backwards and forwards, and can put that all prepped and pushed through the right way.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's very interesting, and we sure wish the process well. And if there's anything else you'd like to add, Mark?
I think we pretty well covered everything.
Okay. All right.